Hello all, my name is Alex Szymanski and I'm a solution engineer at Orchestra Group. During this session we are going to talk about Harmony Purple tool, presenting how it looks like and what technology is about. We will go over the dashboard for an overview of the total product. What is our tool for? As you know, Gartner is dividing vulnerability scanner technologies to three subgroups. One is traditional vulnerability scanner like Nessus or Qualys or Rapid7, which are not saving your time, giving you many information about the vulnerabilities in the system, and nothing can help you to save your time. Just list of vulnerabilities, assets, and just go with this information. Second category is breach and attached simulation tools like XM Cyber, Safe Breach, which are doing the same scanning and checking of a limited set of attacks that is possible to perform with 2 or 3 agents spread in the environment. We are talking here about third technology called VPT, vulnerability prioritization technology, that actually do the scanning, and do prioritization of founded vulnerabilities, that actually can save time for the teams during remediation process, can point us to specific server, after scanning. For example, 1000 of servers, we can point to 1 or 2 servers that are most important for the company to keep safe, and after remediation, the whole company will stay safe. Why we call it Harmony Purple? Purple is a collaboration of 2 teams, one is red team and another one is blue team. For example, what are the capabilities of the red team? Simulates how a red team would act in your environment. How the team will act in an environment that was scanned. Seeks out vulnerabilities and uses them for movement in your environment and capture the flag of critical resources. It uses attack path scenarios to create a prioritized list of the cyber risks to your assets, applications and devices, servers, endpoints and mobile. Blue team capabilities. Leverages attack path scenarios to recommend effective controls, or where controls are constrained by business considerations, compensating controls. For example, Harmony Purple Pro might recommend patching a high-risk server to lower risk, or compensating controls based on the environment and business considerations. So this is what we call the blue team. Now, Purple can actually collaborate between 2 teams, red and blue, use attack path scenarios that can actually allow organizations to substantially reduce its attack surface with the least amount of time and effort, and with the most efficient use of staff resources, meaning save a lot of time for many teams. What is automated Purple Team's security control effectiveness? First of all, we are doing visibility. We are continuously scanning assets, application servers and many others, and we are building network maps, validating from which assets it is possible in general to get from one to each other. Afterwards, the next stage we are doing, internal prioritization of vulnerabilities based on our internal DB and based on oval analysis and based on internal exploitable databases. Afterwards, based on the information that was collected from the whole infrastructure, we are building attack path scenarios. How we are doing it and how it looks like, I will show you on the real client while taking a glance view on the system. The fourth step is reporting. Remediation and automation. We are building a comprehensive report that actually allows you to immediately see the dangerous points, without touching the crown jewels of the company, and gives you possibility of remediation, without touching important assets of the infrastructure. For example, without remediation of DC, SQL database or backup domain controller. The main assets remain untouchable while the company is kept safe. So, now I will take you to the product itself and we will see an overview of the tool and we will understand what is happening in the system. This is the main dashboard of Harmony Purple Pro, which is one tool of 3 which we will talk about in next sessions. This is Harmony Purple Pro. One Pro actually installed in one network and can scan up to 1500 and actually can bring all data about internal infrastructure and target main points in the network for possible attacks. Let's go over the dashboard. First of all, we can see here the business risks that were found during the scanning. We can see that this widget is very flexible. We can remove checkboxes, take it back, and you can see exact % of business information leakage, for example from the all variety of risks that were identified. On the left top part of the screen we can see the business impact widget. We can see how many assets are at risk, now it is 13. Here is the total exposure rate of the company, how the company is exposed for hacking. On the right side you can see the DAT summary. Here is the amount of IP that was discovered, when was last infrascan, when was last web scan, how many IP were identified during last scan, how many assets at risk, new assets found during last scan, and many other information about the system that was scanned. On the left bottom side we can see network risk trends widget. You can see that every vertical line here is different scan and every line represents different thread trending. For example, let's take information leakage APS%. What we can say here from scan to scan, the information leakage percentage is increasing, meaning that maybe content DB was updated, maybe new servers were identified from scan to scan, so here is the trend list. On the right bottom part of the screen we can see the critical asset status. Can be seen the role of critical asset. Exact exposure rate per role that was found. We can see here business scenarios, however we will be back to this part a bit later in the main part if this dashboard is network status map. Let's press on the open button and see it in another window. Now, what you can see here. We can see here, the main part of Harmony Purple tool, that shows us the attacks that we managed to build. For example, every red line here represents infrastructure attack. Every blue line here represents an attack that was started from any web resource. Gray lines show just a connectivity between servers. Now, let's click on one of the red lines. We will see starting host name, starting host IP, starting host role. We can target IP, target host role. That is very important. What is the target host role attack and target host OS? On the left side we can click on the attack path scenario name, and we can see exact scenario visualization, and how it was actually built. We can see that the attack started from some PC in the network, and the target is backup DC of the company. How can we say that this attack can be executed? Let's go with the mouse of the first point. What we can see. We found here one exploitable KB, we found service NBT that is running in port 139 that is open. Here we can conclude that conditions in order to do exploitation of this KB are met, and if a hacker will apply to this PC in some way, he will be able to exploit this KB and get access to this machine. So, the next point is DC. Again we can see here two vulnerabilities. Port 53 is open and service DNS is running, and I know based on the same logic that in order to exploit these two vulnerabilities, port 53 should be open and service DNS should be running. Next stage, after I know everything about all infrastructure, about all vulnerabilities, ports, services, I will try to reach target machines, on specific vulnerable protocol, and on specific port, I will send kind of probes, and will be waiting for the answer. This is our way to verify that this specific lateral movement is possible between these 2 points. This is what we call ATAC path scenario. Patented technology of Orchestra Group for Harmony Purple product. Let's go back to the main map. Another type of path starting from web. Let's click on it and we will see data about this type of path. This attack actually started from web server. From here, I can find on this specific web resource XSS, SQL injection and file inclusion that could be exploited by hacker in the next point inside the company. On the target machine I can see 4 vulnerabilities, and again, service SMB is running and port 139 is open. I see that again conditions are met and the hacker can do lateral movement between 2 points, but this time using web starting point. So, this is for the attack path part, so now let's go to the reporting. In the reporting area we have 5 reports. Let's go to the first one, host by risk report. What we are saying every time. We are prioritizing the vulnerabilities by our patented technology, and if I will organize all servers by starting points of attacks. I can see that in total we have 127 machines. And only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 machines actually are starting the attacks. First of all, we can export to Excel all this data, and we can open from here the list of server vulnerabilities and see which are exploitable and should be remediated firstly. If I click on the name of vulnerability, I will get private page of specific one. I will see the name, summary, solution, vulnerability insight. I will see which OS are affected. I will see which CVEs are part of this specific KB, and the main point that I don't have now to look for the solution on the internet. It is possible just click on one of the links and get exact remediation recommendations. This is from one side. From the other side, we have vulnerabilities reports. This report has all vulnerabilities that we found in the system. It is possible to mark exploitable or not exploitable. For example, we have 5,000 in total, but only 176 are exploitable. What is important in this report is with how many attack paths, specific vulnerability associated with. This one is part of 78 attack paths. We can press on the arrow aside the name and see on which hosts it could be found, and I can remediate one by one on which servers I think is most important. Also, you can filter the report by host significance, by operating systems, not a problem. Third report is the attack path scenarios report, actually all attacks that we have managed to build. In case, I want to see how many and which attacks I have towards my domain controller from different points. Let's see from where, for example, one PC, I can see here, that port 139 open, service NBT is running. From another server I can also get the same data about port and service, so I have to remediate or vulnerability or close port or stop service in order to keep my DC safe. This is our way to thinking, remediate the starting points of the attacks and keep the company safe. The fourth report is host by hotfix report. We can see here which KB exactly are missing on the machines for Microsoft OS only. Another server, also for example, which KB is missing. We can click on the KB and see on Microsoft page data about the KB. The last one and very important is the executive summary report. Let's open it. This is C-level report representing the full picture of scanned infrastructure. Report is editable, names, logos could be easily changed. Many things you can find in this report, however, but the main point is this funnel that can describe the whole picture of infrastructure. What we can see here. We scanned 113 IP addresses. Identified 5,180 vulnerabilities in total, which is a huge number. We identified only 176 exploitable vulnerabilities, based on our database, which is being updated on a weekly basis. Based on the collected information, we managed to build 91 attack path scenarios. What will be your next question? So the next step is to remediate problematic IPs. Only 6 machines that are starting the attacks, and all attacks that were found will be remediated. It can be seen that in order to keep the company safe, there is a need to take care of less than 5% of the total number of scanned hosts. The question is now, which machines should we remediate in order to take immediate action? I will take you back to the report of host by risk, and the 6 machines could be seen first in the list of starting points for the attacks. Now, let's go back to the main dashboard. There is another thing that I want to show you is our business scenarios. This is the option of building specific scenarios for specific systems or specific flow in the infrastructure. For example, system comes with 7 default business scenarios, and let's take a look on. Default DC scenario. Meaning that every attack that will start from any source and target will be primary domain controller. We will do 2 things. We will send SIEM system notification if the system is connected to SIEM system, any syslog compatible like ArcSight for example. We will show on dashboard alarm, meaning that business scenario is affected and should be taken care as soon as possible. I can show you how to build the scenario. If you suspect that some hacker attack will go through the firewall, next point will be a member server. Next, one will be a server, and the target will be some internal storage of the company. You can give this scenario significance, let's say critical, you can give to every point here, even exact IP and operating system. Rule name and save the scenario. During scanning, if we will identify that this specific scenario under danger again, as we mentioned before, 2 things will be done. We will send SIEM system notification if the system is connected to SIEM system, any syslog compatible like ArcSight for example. We will show on dashboard alarm, meaning that business scenario is affected and should be taken care as soon as possible. This is our session about Harmony Purple Pro in glance. Just wanted to add some note that deployment is very easy. Deployment is done by just deploying a virtual machine that we are releasing, Hyper-V or VMware format. Just deploy the machine, give it credentials, since we are a safe white box tool and not trying to hack anyone, and just go with it. In 2-3 hours, you will see the results and evaluate the needness of the tool and its benefits. Thank you a lot for your time during this session and hope to work with you.